I believe we have finally reached the promised land in City Skylines 2, and today we're creating something beautiful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We're enhancing the waterfront with beautiful visuals to once again live up to the high expectations of the Bramblewickers. And we'll build it step by step. As we build, I'll share some tips and tricks for making visually attractive, realistic, and functional builds that anyone can do. If you enjoy the ride, feel free to like and subscribe. Got any questions or want to give some feedback, feel free to leave a comment as well. Let's dive in. We need to start by carving out some space for our roads, buildings, and all the intricate detailing that will really make this area shine. As we already know, this is going to be a small island build, so every bit of space counts. The first order of business is terraforming, shaping the islands where all the magic is going to happen. This step is crucial because it sets the foundation, literally, for everything else we'll be doing. When it came to the design of the islands, I considered a few options. There's a lot you can do with island shapes, loops, crescents, maybe even something bold like a star, but I ultimately decided to keep things simple. We're going with the U shape. Why? Because it's versatile, visually pleasing, and creates a nice central body of water that we can work with. In the middle of this U-shaped design, we'll add a smaller island, like a little centerpiece. This island is perfect for special place to live. As for the harbor, we'll place that outside of the U, just beyond the main islands. This spot makes a lot of sense for two reasons. First, it gives the ships easy access, so they're not struggling to navigate through tight spaces to dock. Second, having the harbor slightly separated keeps the main build cleaner and more organized. The U-shape will hold the core of the area, while the harbor outside acts as a gateway to everything. It's a straightforward plan, but one that gives us plenty of opportunities to add character and creativity as we build. It's going to be exciting to see this take shape, and we're not forced to make the pedestrian areas non-pedestrian areas because the harbor needs easy access for vehicles. Picture this. You're sailing into the city, the gentle waves lapping against the harbor, and what's the first thing you see? A fountain plaza, perched regally on its very own island, standing there like it knows it's the star of the show. That's right, I really wanted to make the entrance by sea something unforgettable, because first impressions matter, even in city building. And honestly, what could be more special than a fountain plaza commanding its own island, accessible only by foot? It's like rolling out the red carpet, but for ships. This isn't just any fountain plaza either, it's a statement piece. It says, "Welcome to a city that knows how to dazzle." The fountain isn't just decorative, it's symbolic. It represents movement, life, and the dynamic flow of the city itself. Placing it on its own island gives it a kind of VIP status. It's not something you can just walk past on your daily commute and ignore. You've got to make an effort to get there, which makes it feel more like an experience and less like just another landmark. And let's not overlook the practical brilliance of this setup. By putting it on its own island, we're freeing up valuable land space on the mainland for other developments. Plus, pedestrian-only access ensures this spot remains serene. A little oasis in the middle of the hustle and bustle. No cars honking, no trucks rumbling by, just the sound of water trickling and the occasional bird overhead. Strategically, it's the perfect way to wow visitors arriving by sea. The Fountain Plaza becomes the city's handshake, its opening act, its first chapter. It says, we care about beauty, we care about experience, and we care about making you feel something the moment you set eyes on our skyline. And let's face it, what city builder doesn't love a dramatic focal point? It's bold, it's creative, and it's the kind of move that'll make this area unforgettable for both our citizens and our visiting tourists. We're going to focus on laying out some key roads to improve connectivity between the islands and the mainland. A strong road network is essential for keeping traffic flowing efficiently. To ensure people can quickly reach the harbor by car, we'll be using a regular 2-lane two-way road, which later on will be upgraded to a 4-lane two-way road. I'm using the 2-lane road for simplicity. The 4-lane road is effective and perfect for the level of traffic we're expecting here. We'll connect the main island to the mainland with a direct bridge. This will serve as the primary route for vehicles traveling to and from the harbor. We'll also make sure the bridge lines up with our planned arterial road on the mainland to streamline traffic flow. We're using Move It to make the bridge both visually better and more realistic. All right, team, it's time to put down the star of the outer island, the passenger harbor. This is where our city's tourists, commuters, and maybe a few curious adventurers will arrive in style. We've scoped out the perfect location, so let's place it and get this waterfront buzzing with activity. Once the harbor is in place, it's all about connections. First up, we're bringing in the 4-lane road. This will be the main route for all those taxis, buses, and carloads of overpacked luggage heading to and from the harbor. Smooth, direct, and ready to handle the flow. It's the red carpet of roads, but with way fewer flashing cameras. Next, the bridge needs a little TLC. Right now, it's looking more like an obstacle than a solution, so we'll fix it up to create a seamless route. A proper bridge makes all the difference, both for functionality and for making our city look chef's kiss stunning. Finally, we'll connect everything to the underground parking. Because let's face it, what's a pedestrian area without a sleek, hidden spot for citizens and visitors to stash their cars? With this setup, our residential and mixed areas with pedestrian access is ready to welcome the world. We're fixing the miscalculation with Move It to avoid a mulligan on the road network and the terraforming. We're shaping up the middle island, which is set to become a vibrant centerpiece of the area. This island will feature urban promenades, mixed-use buildings. These roads needs to be a key to get the look it deserves. We're placing the underground parking before we move on to the middle island. We're turning our attention to the middle island, and this is where things start to get exciting. This little gem is set to become the beating heart of our urban design. A stunning blend of pedestrian-friendly streets and mixed-use buildings that will inject life and energy into the area. Now here's the twist. There's only going to be one entry and exit point to and from the island. Why? Because we're keeping this space exclusive, like a VIP lounge for residents. Sure, tourists are welcome to visit, but we're not about to turn it into a shortcut for harbor traffic. They'll have a pedestrian path to get across and can always use the main road sidewalks if they're feeling ambitious. Surrounding the buildings, we'll have pedestrian-only streets, a car-free haven for strolling, biking, and leisurely cappuccino sipping. Even the connection to the inner island will be pedestrian-only. This way, residents can easily pop over to the school, parking, or parks on the inner island without battling traffic. With this sleek, modern design, everything will feel connected and accessible. Let's just see how this will turn out. Let's take a few seconds to check out our newly built island. We're kicking off the main island build with a high-density residential UK-style building. This structure sets the tone for the island when you arrive on the main road, with its classic design reflecting the character of a modern British city. It's perfect for providing homes to a large number of citizens while maintaining that traditional architectural charm. For our next edition, we're going big. Literally. The colossal tower is going to dominate the skyline, providing not just housing, but also a landmark that screams, "This town means business." It's sleek, modern, and adds a touch of sophistication to the main island. Because what's a city without at least one show-off building? This towering beauty is designed to house a ton of residents, while doubling as the ultimate centerpiece of urban design. Its striking architecture and ridiculous height make it a focal point you simply can't miss. Around the tower, we're throwing in a mix of urban promenade buildings and some classic UK-style gems because, let's face it, I have a soft spot for those UK buildings. They're just so charming, it's like they've cast a spell on me. Trying to create that feeling of a nice canal walk around the old British buildings. Crossing the bridge, this will be the first thing that meets you. I think it will be a perfect match with the urban promenades building on the mid-island. We're going to finish up this block and move on to the next block. Speaking of urban promenades, we're adding another block to keep the vibe alive. These modern mixed-use spaces are perfect for creating a bustling, pedestrian-friendly area. It's all about that harmonious urban flow. But wait, there's more. Among all these buildings, we're leaving plenty of room for lush green spaces. Think parks and maybe even a cheeky little fountain or two. These areas will make the district feel inviting and balanced, giving people a place to unwind, gather, or browse occasional markets. I think when you start putting these buildings together, you really get a sense of a complete, cohesive area. They just align so perfectly with each other, almost like they were designed to fit seamlessly into any city. The attention to detail is incredible. It's like the DLC creator, Richard Shea, understands exactly what city builders want. Alright, the hunt is on. I'm trying to find the perfect building, and once I've got it, it's time to tweak the position of every single one to make the block fit like a glove. The goal? To make it look like this block was planned by an expert city planner, or at least someone who's played Cities Skylines 2 for way too many hours. We've made it to the final mixed-use block on the edge of the island. Our last chance to make this area shine. Once again, we're turning to the trusty urban promenades buildings to keep that seamless, polished look going. It's like the cherry on top of this urban sundae, tying the whole island together. Honestly, at this point, these buildings are doing such a great job, I should probably add them to the payroll. I need to do some more terraforming for the buildings to fit in here with the beach. I'm making some more space at the edge where the beach is going to sit. Now it's time to bring in some services and landmarks to really give this island the wow factor. First up, the Modern Art Museum. Honestly, I can't think of a better spot for it than right here. This location practically screams, "Put the museum here." Surrounded by lush parks, stunning architecture, and with pedestrian access so good it'll make public transport jealous, this spot is just perfect. It's the kind of place where even the mayor would stop and take a selfie. And right next to it, you got it, the City Hall. All right, there's time for some education. First things first, why should you care about education? In Cities Skylines 2, educated citizens unlock better jobs, higher productivity, and even reduce crime. On the flip side, an uneducated population can spiral into chaos. Low land values, worker shortages, and higher crime rates. Let's start at the beginning, elementary schools. These are your first step in creating an educated workforce. Every child in your city needs access to an elementary school. Without one, they'll grow up uneducated, limiting their job prospects and dragging down your economy. Once your citizens graduate elementary school, they'll need a high school to continue their education. High schools prepare teens for mid-level jobs and unlock further education at universities. Want to take it to the next level? Try designing education hubs, clusters of schools, parks, and community buildings to create high-value neighborhoods. Not only do they look great, but they also boost land values and happiness. Plus, parents love the convenience. And don't forget aesthetics. Schools can be a centerpiece of your district design. Add trees, pathways, and playgrounds to make them more appealing. A good-looking school isn't just nice to look at, it can increase land value too. And remember, education is a long-term investment. Don't expect immediate results, but trust me, the payoff is worth it. So here's the last undeveloped chunk of the main island. It's got great potential, surrounded by water, and just waiting for some creative city planning. The goal? To make this area stand out while maintaining that UK-inspired charm we've been building across the town. This spot is perfect for high-density residential, so let's start by placing the Halo Heights landmark. This will be the crown jewel of the area and set the tone for the surrounding architecture. And there it is, Halo Heights, standing tall like a beacon of urban design. It's a little flashy, a little modern, but it'll anchor this neighborhood beautifully. Next up, large UK flats. These are a staple of urban areas in the UK, and they'll give this neighborhood a distinct personality. But instead of going with a grid, let's mix things up. We're going for some interesting shapes with the buildings instead of lining them up, creating some smaller pedestrian streets and trying to visualize the detailing in the area. I think this one is going to stand out. We need to make sure these buildings have access to the service cars, but I don't want large, flashy streets here. We're going to settle with a smaller pedestrian one-way road across this area. We're moving forward with some more UK flats, a little smaller this time to add some variation to the skyline. We're going for a clean 5-building layout in a 3-2 shape. This staggered design not only maximizes the use of space, but also creates a layered look that feels realistic and visually interesting. It's all about creating depth and breaking up the monotony of high-density areas. Besides, we're getting a shot at nice detailing. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. When we get some trees around these buildings, it will be even better. Let's move on to create some pedestrian-only access to these islands. We're going to put in some bus stops in and make it easy for everyone who decides to use their legs to get across the inner canal, and the final visuals will be very nice. When building paths without mods, I usually start with the basic pathway. It's much easier to work with and gives you more flexibility while planning. Once I'm happy with the layout, I upgrade to the type of pathway I actually want. However, I've noticed something odd. Maybe it's a bug or something to do with the Anarchy mod. But when I upgrade to the covered paths, the pillars tend to vanish. It's a bit frustrating because it means I often have to redraw the entire pathway to get the look I'm after. Here's a tip though, if that happens to you when you upgrade, do it one segment at a time and use the snapping tools. Then you don't have to worry too much about elevation. Even if your selected elevation doesn't match the path elevation perfectly, the snapping tools tend to handle it pretty well. This trick works for roads too, so keep it in mind when fine-tuning your builds. Finishing up the paths for the custom park between the residential block, the city hall, and the museum. I'm really looking forward to the final result here and to see how this park fits the buildings and the beach. Changing the regular two-lane two-way road to a pedestrian street. The traffic will be forced onto the four-lane road, and that's good for our pedestrians. It will create a nice canal walk as well. I'm extending the shoring key a little bit to prepare for what we're going to do in the next episode. I got some nice plans for the next build as well, so make sure you subscribe if you want to get notified when it's released. Parking is essential in this part of the build. We're taking advantage of the new parking roads from the Detailer's Patch 2.0. It will give us some nice division of the blocks as well. We probably need some more parking here, but we'll deal with that later. Alright, we're ready to plop some nice UK assets again. Most, if not all, the buildings on this side of the canal will be from the UK region pack. After all, this is a town in the UK fashion. I don't want all the buildings along the canal to be the same height. I want to create some contrast. We're removing the props with the Better Bulldozer mod, and I'm using the Move It mod to align the buildings the way I want. Alright, going forward, we're moving to the other side of the bridge to plop some more cozy buildings. Along the canal, we're using some higher residential, and behind them, some lower residential buildings. I think that will create a nice and realistic look. If you disagree, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'm open to new ideas and different opinions. Okay, we're ready to add some more old-style British assets to the area. We're sticking to the same recipe we used on the island because I really want to maintain that cohesive look across the build. Consistency in architectural style helps tie everything together and makes the town feel more realistic and intentional. This time, though, I'm mixing things up by combining the British buildings with some American row houses. It's actually really interesting to see how these two styles complement each other. Despite their differences, they share enough design elements like compact layouts and detailed facades that they blend surprisingly well. I think it adds a unique character to the area and gives it a slightly multicultural vibe while still keeping the overall aesthetic cohesive. We need some green space on this side of the canal as well, and I'm trying to stay consistent in the way I create park. I didn't have the money to hire two different landscape architects. Let's add some more trees too, and get on with the detailing. I just had to fix the traffic lock. It was caused by the pedestrians and they didn't have a safe way to cross the road, so I created a quick pedestrian bridge. Let's make the inner canal shine. We're using some horizontal pillars to create some stairs. I'll just finish them up and we're ready to move on to the final detailing. As you can see, this is a time-consuming job, so we'll fast forward. Okay, people are dying here. We need a hospital and a place for the final rest. We're looking to make this area prepared for what's up in the coming episodes. I'm not gonna just plop them down and hope for the best. Hang on while I'm creating this area for us. All right, street parking is something I want to avoid at almost all cost. We need some more parking. We're solving this issue with some brand new overground parking. Love these assets. We're dropping a big old outdoor parking lot smack between the Fountain Plaza Island and the harbor. This isn't just any boring slab of asphalt though, oh no. We're going for that clean, functional layout that screams, I'm here to park, but I also enjoy scenic view. Before we move on to more parking at the Harbor Island, I really want to create a pedestrian path from the Harbor Island to the school area. It's not just a shortcut, it's the walkable connection for students, tourists, and anyone who's had just a little too much harborside coffee. A nice clean path winding through the landscape, wide enough for a chill stroll, but cozy enough to feel intentional. Now I know what you're thinking, another parking lot, really? That's the big feature? But hey, this lot is gonna keep traffic flowing and tourists happy while leaving plenty of space for us to flex on the real highlights, like the Fountain Plaza and the harbor itself. So let's get it down, make it functional, and give those little parked cars a place to call home. And while we're at it, we might as well go with 2 parking lots here. From parking to park. We're adding a passage park to start or end the walk along the harbor and the canals. We're extending it with the pedestrian path, and we'll leave the rest of it for detailing. And regarding the pickups, I know from waiting to buy my pickups that the rest of the store is one of my happiness. The shoreline can be a treacherous obstacle for any ship approaching the harbor. So what do we need? A lighthouse, of course, but here's the twist. We're not using a regular lighthouse, as they are not available in the game yet. We're going with the French water tower. Why? Because it looks like a lighthouse, it feels like a lighthouse, and hey, it even gives us water. 2 birds, 1 stylish tower. Sure, it's a bit unconventional, but who says lighthouses can't multitask? Welcome to the most hydrated harbor in town. Let's finish off the canal walk stairs on this side, and I'll pretend the rest of it fixes itself while we're moving forward. All right, folks, we made it to the final part of this build, and that is detailing. You know the drill: beaches, trees, bushes, and all those little touches that take a build from pretty good to chef's kiss. I'll leave it to the pictures and the music to keep you entertained while I sprinkle in the magic. Don't worry, we'll catch up again when it's time for the cinematics, and if you're lucky, not too good at detailing and not too experienced, you might pick up some inspiration during the detailing time-lapse. Now, I've got to say, detailing is hands down my favorite part of the game. It's where the build really comes alive, where the final results don't just shine, they get elevated several floors and all in our own unique way. So sit back, relax, and let's add those finishing touches that'll make this place truly ours. And while you're sitting there, think of a comment you can leave in the section below. I would really appreciate any feedback, good or bad. If you like this video, check out the previous builds and make sure you subscribe to get notified when the next video is released. Yeah, let's go. Alright, Mayor, we've reached the end of this build. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I've been buzzing to show it to you. If you picked up anything from this video, engage and make your voice heard. I'm listening. I'll leave the rest to the cinematics, and until next time, take care of yourself and everyone you love.